Hi everyone, welcome to the channel if you're new. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. Special thanks to all my patrons. My name's Neil, and it's time for the next episode of QI. This is a classic episode, another request from YouTube. Don't forget to leave your requests in the comments below, but it's a Sandi Toksvig classic. We are foregoing Stephen Fry for a week, and we are going to Series N, Sandi's first year as host, and we are doing episode 12, which is traditionally the Christmas special. I'm not sure if it is this year or not, this season, but I'm intrigued because the thumbnail is a bit of a spoiler, and I see Jerry Springer, which is not who you expect to see pop up on QI. Did you guys get Springer in the UK, or was he... I feel like he ought to have been consigned to North American televisions and never spread, but I fear he may have made an appearance across the pond, in which case I apologize even though I'm not American. In fact, I'm seeing the entire cast and I don't recognize the other two either. So this is kind of a bunch of fresh QI faces, so that'll be interesting. I don't have any other thoughts, so let's jump right into it. This is episode 12 from Series N, and it's called Noodles.
Welcome to a show where we will be noodling about with the nephelogynous Jerry Springer.
He honestly doesn't look like he's aged much since the 90s.
Matt Lucas.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What do I know Matt from? He's very familiar, but I can't place him.
Cariad Lloyd.
I don't think I know Cariad. Cariad? Is that
No,
her
it's
name?
Alan Davies.
I know Alan. I think I've come across his work before.
It's a wonderful word. It means producing clouds of smoke. And Cariad, noctivagant, means night wandering.
You're a sleepwalker.
Do you sleepwalk at all?
No, I don't sleepwalk. I'm a grown-up.
Well, that's told the rest of us. Right. Jerry goes...
Awesome. Of course. Of course. Just keep it going.
Can you tell we're a bit excited that you're here today? Matt goes...
No, but oh my God, I still can't believe you just said that.
Is that one of his famous lines? I wish I could...
I don't have a famous catchphrase.
Is there a Cariad Lloyd song?
Cariad Lloyd.
Alan goes...
Alan! 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 Alan!
Oh! They shot the groundhog!
Moving on. Now, Christian names of the first 200 parachutists to land in Normandy on D-Day. I'd like you to give me the name of any of them.
Their Christian name?
Any Christian name? Yeah, from
Vladimir.
Oh, let me remind... no.
In here,
I feel like Band of Brothers should be plenty of. Bill Garnier. We don't know any of their names. They weren't people. Were they dogs? Did they parachute dogs?
They were dummy people.
They were dummies.
They dropped dummies first?
200 dummies, 6 men, some gramophones and a pigeon.
That is a good night.
It's the classic. The pigeon was a carrier strapped to the very first man to land. So the first soldier to land was called Norman Poole. I think they thought Normandy. Norman, let's have Norman. But the very first ones were 200 dummies, and they were all called Rupert. Just stick those on there.
Just following orders.
Yeah.
Are we the baddies?
It would have looked like this.
British television.
It's possible you didn't need the helmets, but then it is possible that you would need them.
Go!
I needed it, yeah.
In 2013, a Rupert was discovered in a garden shed in the UK.
Why is she putting gloves on?
We got back. We have a real one here, which comes from the Museum of Army Flying.
Wow, that's why she's wearing
Wallop.
gloves.
Don't you love this country? We have a place called Middle Wallop.
Middle wallop.
Curator, Susan Lindsay.
Her eagle eyes are
Because how Rupert
hyper-aware
survived
at this
and
moment.
made it all the way back to the UK, absolutely nobody knows.
It's cool, but it's not as cool as Kanye.
It is cooler than Kanye. Really? Yeah.
Kanye
Yes,
said
it's
something you
cooler
cure
than-
with yogurt. And in the United States, the Maidenform bra companies stopped manufacturing bras just to make pigeon vests and pigeon parachutes. Something called the Hamel car. Look at that. It was a wooden glider, large enough to take a 7-ton tank. Do you not think that's...
It's a glider?
It's a new way of using a tank. You just drop it on the enemy. You don't even... My favourite story from that time is Lord Lovat. He was the commander of the 1st Commando Brigade.
Watch Band of Brothers if you guys haven't seen it. Amazing.
He took with him Bill Millen, who was his personal bagpiper.
In the hope that he'd get shot.
And the German snipers said, we didn't shoot him because we thought he'd gone mad.
I'd been born 6 months earlier, yeah.
And where were you born? 'Cause
In the
I was
UK.
actually born in Highgate, in a tube station. Not during an air raid, but you didn't
Your
know.
mother just missed her train and...
Yes.
Have you been back to the station?
Yeah, and there's not even a plaque there.
You need to have been conceived to have a plaque.
When you were mayor of Cincinnati...
Yes.
What are you doing in that picture?
Well, you know, when
Cutting
you're
a
married, you also
salami,
get
or-
a lot of ceremonial
Yeah.
things. Oh, I know. That's when I got circumcised.
We know why you take a canary down a coal mine, but why would you take a dead fish?
Is it one of those fish you put in your hand, like you used to get from the shop for a
Oh,
pound?
for fortune-telling.
Fortune-telling fish.
I don't know fortune fish.
Because in some cultures, people eat fish. So maybe the people in the mine are peckish.
OK, we're in Newcastle. Do you
Do they
think
eat
that's
fish in Newcastle?
Oh, yes, they do. They have a little fishy on a little dishy when the boat dance for your daddy, my little laddie.
Is it possible you spend too much time with your small children?
Okay, I'm not catching the folk song reference here.
They used dead fish as lights. So some dead fish, not all.
Oh, yeah, they're so rich. The First Nations people in my corner of the world, there's a fish called the ulakan, which is kind of like a herring, but super rich in fat. And when you dry them out, you can burn them just as they are, like a candle.
That is incredible.
Yeah, cunning bacteria.
Oh, okay, so these aren't burning. These are just
In a jellyfish's glowing sign
bioluminescent.
as a torch.
When Kanye West played Madison Square Garden,
What is he got about Kanye?
You know,
Is his entire career made on Kanye?
And it lives in cats. It wants to be in cats, but if it can't get into cats, it affects a rat or a mouse. It will make the mouse not scared of cats anymore, so that it's more likely to be ate by a cat.
Are you making this up?
No. Human beings who have toxoplasmosis are more likely to have car crashes. So the bacteria is trying to kill you so that a cat will find you.
So in World War I, there was a German submarine tracked and sunk because it had disturbed enough bioluminescent organisms. They can inject mice with genetically modified glowing herpes virus, and who hasn't wanted to have that at some point?
Yeah. No, I don't know why it's glowing, honey.
You get up in the night and you don't need to put the light. I could just find my way.
Jerry, did you know the phrase carrying coals to Newcastle?
Is that like selling ice to an Eskimo?
Already lots of. So I don't know.
Oh, it's like taking sand to the beach.
Audience, to put your hands up if you were familiar with the phrase carrying coals to Newcastle. And now could you put your hands down if you are aged over 30? It's a commonplace idiom that seems to have died out pretty much in one generation. We should think of some new ones, should we? If we can't have coals to Newcastle, what else could we have?
Fake tan to Essex.
What's the most painless way of sacking 24,000 people at the same time?
don't tell them.
Are they fake employees who never existed?
They are, and it did happen. So it was February 2016, Nigeria sacked 23,846 employees from the government payroll, all for the same offence. They didn't exist. And the move
So they were all
saved
just...
£8 million a month. They were ghost workers. It's a common problem.
Yeah.
In 2007, Andre Kasongo Ilunga became the Minister of Foreign Trade in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, despite the fact that he was entirely fictional. Congolese law is that there has to be 2 candidates for any ministerial post, right? Kasimba Ngoy, and he really wanted the role. So what he did was he invented a fake rival this gentleman.
And the fake guy won?
Well, unfortunately for Mr. Nagoy, the Prime Minister disliked him intensely and chose the fictional Mr. Ilunga. And Mr. Nagoy later claimed that Ilunga had resigned, but the Prime Minister said he would only accept the resignation in person.
That happened in Bristol by the zoo. There's a car park, and this guy every day would collect like £3 to park your car. And then one day he wasn't there, and they said to the zoo, "Where's your car park attendant?" And they were like, "We don't have a car park attendant." And he had been doing this for like 15 years.
Yeah, it's a great story. It is unfortunately an urban myth.
Oh, no!
I know!
Oh, it's true?
I've had several people tell it to me, though.
I hate when several people lie.
I know.
I hate when several people lie.
Damn those liars.
I
Darn.
think you're deflecting. I now don't trust anything you say.
I'm actually Kanye.
And you heard it here first. Now, which is worse, death or Norfolk?
Oh. Is Norfolk that
You
bad?
could leave Norfolk.
But it's not the English county of Norfolk that we are talking about.
Sometimes I think the questions on this show aren't quite what they seem.
Which newly discovered continent, beginning and ending in A, were most British convicts transported to in the 18th century?
Oh,
Australia.
no. Or America, or Antarctica.
Some people estimate that as many as 1/10 of the migrants to America during that period were in fact British convicts. And Australia was only used after the American War of Independence broke out, Norfolk Island. And in 1825, it was established as a penal colony for people who had committed crimes while already serving a sentence in Australia. People who were sentenced to death on the mainland thanked God that they were not going to Norfolk Island.
That brutal,
Have you been to English Norfolk, Jeremy? It's a place called Nowhere, in which 16 people lived in 1861. Sadly, now it's nowhere to be found. It's the last place in Britain where people regularly ate swan. So if you walk along the river, is it the Wensum?
I thought you weren't allowed to do swan in the UK. But
Not allowed, are you?
Yeah. Well, you can if you are
Quick.
If you're quick. Dinner at St John's College, Cambridge. You can eat swan. And in Boston Public Gardens, there are 2 swans, Romeo and Juliet, who've been together for over a decade, who represent love. Just found out recently they should have been called Juliet and Juliet. So
Boston's a pretty progressive city.
in which country is the very highest peak of the Alps?
Isn't Mont Blanc...
It's on the corner.
Okay. So where is that?
It's on the French-Swiss-Italian border.
Italy, I think.
It's on the tribe border.
It's on the border.
It is exactly on the border. But the very highest peak of the Alps is not.
Okay, not Switzerland as well, but
There's like
French
France
Italy.
or in Italy.
Switzerland?
I'm going to go for Switzerland. It's in the Netherlands.
Really?
Wow. There was a Swiss geologist called Horace Benedict de Saussure.
Who cut off the top of Mont Blanc?
When he got to the top, he took the top as a souvenir. I'm going to guess it's not quite that big.
No.
I'm going to guess.
It's not floating in a museum.
That's an artist's representation.
He's also described as the inventor of climbing. On his expedition, he took 2 frock coats, several waistcoats, his slippers, 2 cravats, a bed, a blanket, a mattress, and 18 guides.
Mostly to carry the mattress.
Did he invent climbing? People were climbing on the Alps before, and he came along and went, I would call this climbing.
Same guy who told you the story about the parking lot.
Yeah. Always making things up. It's
Always
not
making-
right, is
yeah.
it? You've never had that on your show, have you? People making things up.
Well, that would be so wrong.
That would be very wrong.
My friend claims he invented climbing.
And the women who love him.
Yeah.
You can say any sentence in the world, and as long as you add, and the women who love him,
Yeah.
then you got a show.
My Labrador and the women who love me. Where is the highest point of the Netherlands?
Well, a lot of it's below sea level, isn't it? It's not high at all. And
Where else
they
in the
got
world?
a colony of some
They
kind.
have a municipality.
Oh, it'll be like in Suriname.
Africa.
No, it's in the Caribbean. There's an island called Saba.
lovely.
I say island, it's pretty much just a volcano. It's 887 metres high. It is nearly 3 times higher than the tallest bit of the European Netherlands. So there was an artist called Oscar Santillan in 2015, and he removed the topmost inch of Scarfell Pike. Cumbrian Tourism said, "This is taking the mickey. We want the top of our mountain back."
Yeah. You get a moil for that.
Just take the tip off.
What is Britain's biggest national secret?
If we tell it, it won't be a secret anymore.
No,
The London Tower, something up
It is
there?
a tower. The
It's
tower
a
is
shard,
right,
a secret.
Jerry.
Is there some enormous building that isn't supposed to...
Yes.
BT
Post office
Tower.
BT
Oh, the
Tower
BT
is
Tower.
exactly right.
Oh.
It's classified as an official secret. It was Britain's tallest building. It contained a public viewing gallery and a revolving restaurant. Nevertheless,
What? Top secret.
to that place once for a charity event.
Yeah.
And Rick Astley was singing.
No.
Wonderful. And I went to the loo, and when I came out the loo, it had revolved, and I came out right on stage next to it. It's never gonna give you up.
Did we just get rickrolled on QI?
the restaurant was fantastic. It was just glorious. And in 2009, BT said they were going to reopen it. And anybody who's ever had a promise from BT will know that that never happened.
You get a lot of emails saying your order's on its way.
What's the best cure for nostalgia?
Is it actually living in the actual past?
But wouldn't you be nostalgic for the 100 years before?
Yeah, would there not be a period? There's always going to be a period behind.
Oh, yeah.
What do I know Matt from?
I'm not a nostalgic person, no.
But that's probably good.
I think the future is going to be great.
I'm nostalgic for when Alan used to be nostalgic. Lovely time.
Those were the days. Well, in the 18th and 19th century, it was seen as a deadly disease
Really?
to be nostalgic. It was
I
known as
agree.
What?
Schweizkrankheit, or Swiss illness. More than 5,000 men were diagnosed with nostalgia, and 74 allegedly died from it. In fact,
What?
the Unionist army was forbidden from playing Home Sweet Home in case it brought on an attack.
When I wrote my book, this is not a plug, it's out of print, no one bought it. It was part memoir. That meant a lot of going back through childhood memories, and it's not pleasant, it's not nice. One thing I would like to have is my grandmother's trifle. Grannies everywhere, write down all your recipes.
Sorry, if you've just tuned in, this evening's episode was a tribute to Cariad, Jerry, Sandi and Alan, who all very sadly died of nostalgia.
Worked out what the best cure is. A Russian general came up with it. What he did was he warned the troops that the very first man to come down with a case of nostalgia would be buried alive. And cases plummeted. Causes of nostalgia were...
So is
unfulfilled
nostalgia
ambition,
contagious?
Poor hygiene, coming from farming stock, and masturbation. Those were the...
Got two of those.
Me too, and I've never been on a farm.
It is thought to protect slightly against cold, so people can stand the pain of icy water for longer if they focus on
Who
nostalgic
writes this
memories.
stuff down?
I mean, if you're
The
trapped
elves
in a
do.
freezer by a gangland criminal, you just say to someone, do you remember when we weren't trapped in this freezer?
The weird thing was, when we went round to her house, there weren't enough chairs around the table, so she would produce this stool from the... I was going to say... It was an actual stool, it wasn't a, you know...
She was your grandma and you loved her.
And we all wanted to sit on the stool,
Stool.
even though it was the
Yeah.
wrong height for the table and was uncomfortable.
Why did you want to sit on
I
it?
don't know. As soon as one kid wants the stool, everyone wants the stool. I'd like the stool and the trifle. Everything else could... I don't care.
The stool and the trifle.
Are you a narcissist?
I know, I don't
No.
like looking at myself. I would take either of those two lives ahead of my own.
Because whether you said yes or no, we are going to give you 2 points.
Oh.
And that is because in the standard modern test for narcissism, if you think you are a narcissist, then you are.
Oh, interesting.
What about you, Joe? You say you're a narcissist?
No, I've got a mirror. That depresses me.
You're asking the star of the Jerry Springer show.
You a narcissist?
Have a look at this poll, and I want you to tell me whether you are taller or shorter than it.
Right, I need to look at it and assume that those are feet.
I'm shorter.
Shorter? Boys? Alan?
I need a better look.
They're the same height.
Exactly the same height. Interesting, because none of you
I'm
asked
shorter.
how tall the pole is at all, and we have no clue how tall it is. But powerful people will tend to perceive themselves as taller.
Maybe all the powerful people are tall, and that's the problem.
That's actually
There are
true.
no powerful small people in
If
the
you look
world.
like the CEOs of major corporations, they skew tall. I probably learned that on another episode of
She just
QI.
thought she looked normal. She didn't realise how the world perceived her, that everybody would literally see her and just smile.
Wow, do you know what happened to her?
And she's very happily married. Yeah.
I wanted it to have turned out shit, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Hate people like that.
We get narcissism from...
Narcissists.
Gazing in a pond.
Then was eventually transformed into a flower. What flower was he transformed into?
Oh, self-raising.
All purpose.
A narcissus?
No, it's one of those weird things.
Oh.
It's not connected.
Did he turn into a lily?
We don't know. We have no idea.
But the reference guess, because then you don't even have the answer.
Things are unknown, Matt. That's okay. He has 5 faces and bigger sperm than you. I'm not really talking to you, Cariad, in this instance.
Faces.
Is it a type of fish?
5 faces.
A pyramid
A pyramid?
well,
Has
the
5
Egyptian
faces.
Pyramid that has 5 sides.
Faces.
Yeah, it's more of a creature than... it is fair to say...
I'm with you, though, Jerry. That's
almost...
where my first thought went.
It's called a nematode, and it is a kind of round worm, and they are extraordinary. So there is one. There it is.
Oh, those are disgusting.
It grows 1 of 5 different
They're
faces,
like
as it
miniature
matures, depending on whether
sandworms
it's
from
eat
Dune.
Microbes, polyphenism, and it's when animals change their form, they change into different forms depending on the environment. And their sperm is bigger than human sperm.
Well, all nematodes.
Not all of them.
I was
Yeah.
going to say.
Why might bigger animals produce smaller sperm?
I can't tell you how many times I've asked that question.
Bigger animals have got less to prove.
No, the bigger you are, the more sperm you need to produce to increase the odds that you're going to make one.
So you go for volume versus size.
Which of these 2 men has stronger muscles?
I can't believe you just said that.
Maybe the muscles on the left are stronger because they're not as strong and yet they're still working for
Stop
them.
now, stop now.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
doing so well. Pound for pound, bodybuilders have weaker muscles than normal people. But here's the thing. If you don't have muscles, but you have a really good imagination, you can exercise your muscles.
Well, I'm just imagining myself winning the show.
I'm imagining myself using my hands.
Which of Shakespeare's plays wasn't performed at first because it was believed to be cursed?
Okay, not Macbeth.
Is it Richard II?
It's a good choice, but it is not Richard II.
Was it Midsummer Night's Dream in which I played bottom and got the best reviews of my career?
No.
No.
Is it the one that was playing when the globe was burnt down?
It is the one that was playing.
Oh,
Is that
no sex, please, we're British.
1613 is a production of Henry VIII.
Henry VIII. Okay.
They fired a cannon as one of the sort of special effects, and it hit the
hit the guy,
straw
yeah.
of the thatched roof, and theatre burnt down. The only risk to life was one man's breeches caught fire, and his friend put him out with a bottle of beer. That's the... Have you been to the Globe Theatre that was rebuilt?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. It's really wonderful.
I've been outside it.
But what is the play that actors have often treated as being cursed?
Well, I
The
don't
Scottish
want to say
play.
it because it's cursed to say it, but Macbeth. Traditionally, when repertory companies were doing a play and no one was coming, what they would do is quickly put
do
on
production.
Macbeth because people always came to see Macbeth. So if you were putting on Macbeth, it was the thing you really wanted to do. It was a disaster.
Harold Norman, he was an actor who poo-pooed the superstition, and he was playing the lead in the Scottish play, and he died at Oldham Coliseum in 1947 playing Macbeth when he was accidentally stabbed with a real sword. 1849, there was a British actor called William Charles Macready and an American called Edwin Forrest. They were both playing Macbeth at different theatres in New York, and their fans rioted as to who was the most successful, and more than 20 people died and more than 100 were injured.
What?
Name America's biggest fault.
Oh, dear.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's the obvious.
Is it not going to be the San Andreas fault?
It is
No.
not the San Andreas.
No.
You're
Are we
absolutely
going?
right.
Are
It
we
is
going
not
with
even
the
most
Cas?
dangerous fault line in California? So here's the thing, California.
Are we going for the
consists of
Cascadia
2
plate?
continental plates, the Pacific and the North American.
The Nazca and the Juan de Fuca?
And the maximum size of earthquake that the San
Not the
Andreas
Nazca,
fault could cause
the
is
Juan de Fuca
8.2
plate.
on the moment
And there's an
magnitude
Explorer
scale.
plate, I
The
think?
nearby Cascadia subduction zones, just off the coast, is far more dangerous. A huge
Explorer
rupture
plate
on it
in the
could
Juan de
release an
Fuca,
earthquake 30 times stronger than the San Andreas. They estimate a big earthquake would cause a tsunami up to 100 feet high.
Yep. if and when that comes, and it's 300 years overdue, Vancouver and Seattle are hooped.
In first place with a magnificent 7 points, it's Cariad. In second place with minus 26, it's Jerry.
Oh. Second place is minus 26. That's not a good sign.
Third place with minus 36, Matt.
Punishing scoring.
Alan with a breathtaking minus 56.
Minus. Wow. Okay, we must have missed some klaxons in this edit.
Tonight, I'm going to leave the last word to Jerry.
Watch this show or I'll kill my dog. Take care of yourself and each
All right, that was fun. I did 2 episodes of QI today, reactions, and got a special guest star each time. Carrie Fisher, which you probably saw last week, and if you haven't, check it out. And Jerry Springer this time, and that's cool. Again, people you would not expect to see pop up on a show like this, but certainly holding their own. And who knew Jerry Springer was born in a London tube station? That's pretty random. During the Blitz. Oh man. Matt Lucas, I cannot figure out. I'm sure he's from some British sketch comedy show that just sort of seems a natural fit. I'm sure I haven't seen that show, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if I have seen clips from it. Because he seems very familiar, and yet I can't place him at all. And Cariad, I don't know, but she seems like a great guest. One of the things I have noticed with the older episodes of QI is you get those same familiar faces over and over and over again, and they're great guests. Don't get me wrong, but I do think probably when Sandi came on, or maybe there was a BBC directive prior to that, QI sort of expanded the talent pool that it was drawing from. And so it is cool to see fresh faces, and sometimes guests hit and sometimes they don't. And I feel like I read somewhere that now no one does more than a single episode a series. And fair enough. You know, you've only got 14 or 15 episodes to fill. 3 guests a visit. You know, the UK's big. You got plenty of people to draw on. So you can probably find 40 odd people for a series without too much trouble. I figure it's easier to cast somebody for an episode of QI than it is for a season of Taskmaster, for instance. It can't be that tough. If I was semi-famous in the UK and the producers from QI came calling, you bet I'd be all over that. I'd probably end up bombing, but I'd be all over the offer. Anyway, how fun is this show? It's just such a fun show. I wish there was something like this in North America. There is nothing like this. The panel show in and of itself is barely a thing here in North America, and a show where it's literally just conversation about random but interesting topics is just such a foreign concept here. Yeah, what a bummer. You know, I think the closest thing we have is, you know, like the morning shows, but those are so much more topical and, you know, about the current news and with fixed hosts. There's not a lot of like no cycling of guests in the same sense. Anyway, yeah, it's just a format that I don't know if it's ever even been tried here. That's the thing. Like, maybe it wouldn't work, but has anyone even given it a shot? I find it interesting, the British shows that they're willing to give a try out here. And I'm not talking about, like, you know, taking a British comedy or drama and redoing it, you know, like The Office or whatnot. But I'm talking about the other form, you know, like They're trying out Would I Lie to You in the States right now. Whether it hits or not, who knows? We know they tried Taskmaster on Comedy Central for one season. That didn't work. But I'm sure there's tons of formats that did. And then, who knows? Who knows? I just wish somebody would try it. Because I think it would work. I think it would... And not only would it work, but maybe it would start steering the culture a little bit. Like, shows like this can do that. They can steer culture. They're not just reflections of culture, but they can steer culture. Like intelligence isn't a bad trait in the UK. The way I think it is in certain communities here in North America, where the smart are considered suspicious. People don't trust the educated and the intelligent. It's so weird. It's so weird to even say it out loud, but it's certainly the truth in certain communities in North America. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just rambling. Love this show. It makes you think, doesn't it? I hope you guys had a good time. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. Until next time, everybody. Take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.